Hello. Uh, so let's try to make. Sorry. Let's try to make a walk through my process. All right. Um, so usually I start from a picture, and you're gonna see at the end what the picture is. Um, I use it not much as like a reference. Well, it is a reference, but what I like to think is that I'm using it more like an inspiration, and I'm going to explain why. So, as I mentioned in a previous video I published, uh, I'm not very interested into realism or like create copies of what already exists, especially when I'm using a photo as a reference, because the photo is already there. There's no real need to create another a copy of it, even though you're using a different medium or technique, as you want to say. So, whilst I still try to keep some likeness, what I try to do is create a unique version that is different and yet the same. I don't know if it makes sense at all, but that's how it works in my vision, and sometimes I manage to accomplish that, and some others, well, not as much. But failure is never ever a reason for stopping you. You should be stopping doing something just because you failed. Actually, I try to learn from my mistakes and progress, and try to don't repeat the same mistakes again. Maybe I do new mistakes. And yeah, someone asked me why I don't use pencils and I start drawing directly with a pen. And there are a few different reasons for that. One of those is it kind of forced me of being more aware of what I'm doing. When you use a pencil, deep down you know that you can undo, like you were using a Control Z on your computer. With a pen, you can't not do that, and somehow that makes things more challenging and at the same time interesting to me. And the other reason, this is gonna be tough, guys. The other reason is I like to show all the mistakes I did. It kinds of make the final drawing warmer, more alive. because as I said before, you should never try to hide your errors. You made them, they're there, fine. You know, what I do when I realize I made a mistake, I just draw on top of it with thicker line. Basically press more with the pen. In fact, as you can see now, my lines are very, very subtle. And when I get more confident with what I'm doing, with what the final result is, I just start and press a bit more to basically create the final shape, right? And the reason why I say this is gonna be tough is because I'm drawing this hand, and hands are very famous for being one of the most difficult things to draw ever. And I used to be very scared of drawing hands, and just try to avoid them. But one day, one of my teacher, I did like very short course of for drawing. It was like at Roman comic school, Scuola Romana dei Fumetti. No, Scuola Internazionale di Comics, International School of Comics. And I did this course that was like 3 months. They basically took us through the basics of drawings, the basics of anatomy and perspective, and I was already aware of most of the things they were teaching us, but since I never had a proper art formation, I don't know what you say in English, I decided to take part, and it was very useful, rather than for the topics that were in the program, for the little tricks that my teachers revealed to me. And basically, when I said that I was struggling drawing hands, my teacher told me, that's because you're trying to draw fingers. You're counting the fingers, he said to me. So you're doing the first finger, then the second finger, and blah, 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 and so on, so on, so on. And that's the mistake. He said, you should consider the overall shape of the hand rather than try to draw each finger, you know? And here I made a huge proportion mistake. As you can see, I can't get rid of the lines that are not correct, but I don't care. They're just there. They exist. I created them. Why should I get rid of them, you know? So I just keep going. It's very weird doing these videos to me. It's a lot of talking. Sometimes, I spend most of the time whilst drawing in complete silence. I do nothing else but drawing, really. So talking somehow distracts me, and so it will be easier for me to do mistakes. But again, as I said before, we must accept mistakes. So yeah, I'll keep going. And another thing that is very important for me, but I believe for anybody, is to take a little time away from what you're drawing so you don't get snow blinded. And so sometimes I just get up, go for a walk, even a few meters. So this shoulder is way too small, and the curve here will be more like that. Right. I really like this model and this picture. You haven't seen it yet. Forgot about it. You'll see it in time. When you have a beautiful picture and a beautiful model as a reference, it makes it more challenging because you don't want to waste all the beauty you got there, right? I mean, you really want to capture not the original image, because as I said before, that's already there, you don't need it, but to capture your vision of it, which eventually will make your drawing unique, or hopefully different enough from the original work to have a reason for existing, right? Nobody wants to be a clone, I believe, and at this moment I just realized these should be shifted on the right so much, like this probably, yeah, and that should be even farther. Alright, here I messed it up very badly. Sometimes, I recover from very small mistakes, but this time I seriously fucked up. That said, I'll keep going and see if, despite of that, we can still save it. You never know. We might be able to save it somehow. Let's see what happens. I missed a very important introduction I mentioned in the previous video I released, and is the way. Yeah, it's about the way I move the first steps into drawing a face, a portrait, and basically I always use the nose as starting point, or at least as a reference, because it sits in the middle of the face. So if you use it as a reference, you will be able to draw anything else accordingly to its position, size, and perspective. So that's quite useful to me. Even the hand here is fucked up because this should be ending right here. Yeah, let's make a video. Let's pick up one of the most difficult reference out there. Why not? But we are reckless, so. You see how much I'm going far from what was the original line, right? But the original line is still there, and it doesn't bother me. I mean, it's part of the process, right? Just need to be very careful and make it light enough not to be impossible to ignore. Right, I don't know. You know, the drawing might, I might keep going and find out it's very bad at the end of the day, and I just pretend I never created it. I got a few of them, drawings that I started doing and then I killed. Like, sometimes even like ripping the paper apart. I haven't done it on this sketchbook, but for instance, there is. Oh, I'm gonna reveal it. Sorry. There's this drawing I'm not very proud of, not because of the shapes, but how I ended up using the color, and I just pretend I never done it. It happens. We're not perfect by any means. We're not machines. We are human. And again, the way I used the color there teaches me not to do that again. So I'll keep in mind and try not to replicate the same mistake. Okay. So we're getting closer to the end of the pen part. To make the mistaken lines even more acceptable, I create lines that shouldn't be there. For instance, I like to emphasize the cheeks with these subtle lines here, or create some basic shapes for the hair to kind of suggest their volume, or even go and define where the shadows will be, so to add some volume. See, the muscles, again some more shadows, and this way, everything, the original fucked up lines that are here or here suddenly get less noticeable. No, oh man, sometimes I struggle so much with my pronunciation. Noticeable, probably. All right. Hopefully you will understand me anyway. Um, Let me know if you would like to make this a series. As I said before, it gets more difficult for me to draw and talk at the same time because it requires multitasking and sometimes it can be challenging, but let me know if you would like to see more of this process. I could make these like I could turn these videos into a series, and if you do, maybe also let me know what would you like to see. What would you like me to talk about? If you have questions about my process or drawing in general, I could share with you my knowledge, limited knowledge. I'm not a master, but I'm happy to share what I know. All right, so I believe this is it in terms of pen, right? I don't quite like this. Okay, and here I'm gonna have some cool. So we're gonna take care of some details here in the eyes. Eyes really needs to be very detailed because the eyes is where the soul of any drawings or even picture, photo, is. So you need to pay extra attention to that. Right. I don't know how there might be some mistakes, especially because I'm not seeing it correctly because I should like put it like that to see it straight, but for the sake of the video I need to have it on a plane, so the perspective I'm looking at it might tricks me, and I will only discover this when I finish. So wish me good luck. Now I go for watercolor pastels, pencils, right? In Italian, pencil is matita, but the matita is the one you draw with. This kind of pencil, the colored one, are called pastelli. That's why I thought might have been pastels, but no, pencils. I love the way English is so simple sometimes. So one word will describe multiple things, and it's amazing. Definitely make my life easier. Even though, as you just saw, I try to complicate it, making up words that don't exist. So I discovered these watercolor pencils just a few years ago. Before, I was using regular watercolors, but they are way more difficult to me, or at least I never really spent too much time on trying to master them or even getting good at them. So, and I'm not saying I'm good at these either, but I think they are more simple and fast. Hence why I'm using this watercolor pencil rather than proper watercolor. And maybe one day I will switch to watercolors for a change and see what happens. Really like to experiment and mix up techniques. In fact, sometimes you'll see me mix watercolors with Copics or markers. That's the word, markers. Can't really see. Yeah. So you mix the colors whilst the pencils are dry. I mean, you can decide more or less where the variation will be, and then with the water it's going to be mixed properly, sometimes with very unexpected results. And that's what I like about watercolors. You can plan what the final result would be until a certain point where it will just happen that the color, you know, will appear in a certain way. I don't know. I just allow that, to be fair, and I'm very messy with my coloring. Just go there and you'll see in a minute when I start using water. I just do and spruce everything. Spruce? I don't know if that's a word or anything. Yeah, just mix things up very randomly. Kind of like spruce. If it's not a word, it should be. was just getting this tiny bit of. So basically I used orange for the main base and then red for the darks, which might be even reinforced with some brown to make them even more darker, like in some areas. Yeah. And then some shadows to give it some depth. I will add some colors around the eyes here. As you can see, my yellow is almost gone already. I painted a lot of blonde girls. Guilty. Okay. Now in the original picture, she has a white lingerie, but that wouldn't work much for us, so we're gonna go for this emerald green. I believe it is an emerald green. It's just very nice green. It goes very well with hairs. So and I still have no idea if I'm gonna like this or not at the end of the day. Now, sometimes I go all the way through only to realize I really dislike what I've done, and I will cry for a few hours. All right. And I think I'll give a bit of color on the cheeks. And possibly on the nose as well. Yeah. Right. Now, it might be okay. We don't know. I don't know. You see, to complement, I do this kind of geometric things around it. And I think I'm gonna do the same here. And I'll definitely go for triangles. You know, my Apple Watch says I should stand up right now. And I think it's right. I'm gonna stand up. Oh man. I don't know if I'm gonna like this. I've been sitting all day long. That's very painful, guys. Yeah, one place too many this time. I think I'm gonna be good like this, right? Then I use this brush, which has water in it, and actually it doesn't have much, so I'm gonna just refill it for a second. And I'm back. It wasn't too bad, right? So I completely destroyed this brush since I started using these watercolor pencils because of the way as I said before, I'm just brushing, doing like I'm not at all delicate. I just like to be very brutal somehow, and it's just destroying it. So I might need to buy a new one for the details because otherwise I won't be able to do detailing. I think I had another one with the thinner, but I'm not in the mood of going through my stuff right now and look for it. So you'll see in a second why I destroyed it, because I do this, see? And this is very, very bad for the brush. But I like how it comes out. It's just very... I like it. No, I really don't think of the final shape. I just go there and make a mess. Yeah, definitely need another brush for detailing. All right. So there are two final steps. Actually, not sure. Okay, what I need to do now is wait a little bit until the paper gets dry. I mean, not all of it, but just around the eyes and the lips, which is where now I'm going to put the final touches that are all about detailing. So what I want is a darker black on the areas I want to pop out more. So definitely here. So this way you increase the contrast with the rest of the drawing, and everything should be more prominent. And it's quite important for the eyes. And for the lips. Right, and then we do some texturing. Now, probably you can't appreciate much what I'm doing from the video, because there are very, very tiny details, but they're super important. At the end of the day, you will notice the difference if you are looking at drawing from a reasonable distance. They're just very subtle textures that will make the difference. And then white gel pencil, which is basically white, and you can create highlights on the eyes. And since it's very material, like properly leaves matter on the paper, it shines, and I believe it's beautiful. I love it. Right. Once we do that, I might even be a bit more crazy on creating lines. And make it more gestual. Gestual, is that the word? Might be, right? Gestual. and I'm very really pushing when I do that, and that's a bad thing because the next drawing, oh well, not necessarily bad, but you have to keep in mind that the next drawing will retain the shape of the lines you just created on the previous one. That doesn't really matter, does it? Okay, I believe we are there now. And again, I have no idea if I'm gonna like this or not, and this means that this video might or might be not published at all. So good luck to me. You see, those that were mistakes at the beginning, you barely see them now, and that's why I really don't care about using a pencil before the pen. It's just, it doesn't really matter. All right, it might be all. So if you like this experiment, just let me know. Ask me for more topics to cover. Even you can even suggest me subjects. Anything, just drop me a line, and I will be happy to reply and consider featuring features or answering questions or whatever. Right? See you.